Hey, good day.
Good day. Your name, please, sir.
Today, I'm calling from New Orleans.
Henry, is it?
Yes, correct.
From New Island.
Yeah, that's right.
Henry, go ahead. The governor's listening.
Yeah, so firstly, thank you, Governor. And I appreciate you as one of the parliamentary leaders that has been so very vibrant in terms of doing public awareness on this radio and sharing some of the insight in parliament, some of the insight in politics, and some of the insight about what the future looks like for Papua New Guinea. And your heart is very big that you're not only concentrating on your province, so to speak, but the greater Papua New Guinea. And thank you for that. It only takes a few leaders to do that. So thank you. My question is in the light of the violences that a couple of violences that with the current term of parliament that we have unsuccessfully, but you guys, you leaders have been so very vibrant in pushing some of the things that we want to see change. With you being the nominee of one of the violency and a couple of it with other nominee, unfortunately didn't went away. With the current trend in which us citizens that are trying to push through to see you, putting up a leader and become we want to see you in future leading the country as the CEO. My question is about, and I've read about it, I think, a few years back where there were talks about the way we appoint Prime Minister for Papua New Guinea. With the current process, which, the ruling party with the majority numbers that get alternatively them having their party leader as the Prime Minister. What does the future looks like for Papua New Guinea in terms of appointing or Prime Minister elections? Because what I see and would like to see more like what Australia, USA have in terms of the citizen voting for the Prime Minister instead of the ruling party and the candidate appoint the Prime Minister in the floor of Parliament. We want to see that going forward for Papua New Guinea for the citizen to vote for the Prime Minister seat. What is your thought and idea on this approach for the future of Papua New Guinea?
Henry, thank you so much for your call. My brother, have a top day in New Island Province. We'll give it back to the governor to address. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. I think those are good questions. Look, and thank you for the kind remarks too, and thank you everyone for the kind remarks. For me personally, I think a good amount of time for someone to be prime minister is 3 years. I think beyond that, prime ministers start to get entrenched, and then they start to look for ways to sort of exist forever as prime minister. One of the problems I see is that, when one person remains as prime minister for a very long time, it reduces the opportunity for us to bring the talents of other people. Because people get entrenched. Once you're prime minister and you're able to give a contract to one of your friends, or you're the choir master. So if you direct the choir this way, and power, it makes people, they get drunk on power, and we've seen that with enough of our prime ministers to know that. I think 3 years is a healthy time to have someone there. It's a misconception to think that the longer you have a prime minister, the better things are going to be. We've had dictators that have gone for a long time too and ruined countries. So the argument can go either way. Just because Lee Kuan Yew, who was an exceptional leader, did something in Singapore, everybody wants to point to that. But Lee Kuan Yew is an exception. It's not the rule. Most people can't handle power. As soon as they get into power, months are long, yeah. And we've seen that enough times. So we've got to guard against the fallibility of human beings. We've got to guard against that. In terms of election mechanisms, for me, it really doesn't matter whether we have the current one or we change to a direct election. The most important thing to me is the check and balances. In every system of government, particularly in a democratic country, you need checks and balances. What we have seen in Papua New Guinea is that when a prime minister gets powerful, he starts to control the speaker, so he controls parliament. So in Papua New Guinea, we've always had the executive government controlling parliament. Parliament doesn't do its own thing. And you always end up, and because the prime minister becomes so powerful, all the members of parliament, they want to be on the powerful side because that's where you get the money to do your projects. This, something you like him, but you kiss him, suppose you start government. You know, members of parliament will say, when you are in opposition, that's like being in hell because you get nothing in opposition. Or something in government as well. So we've already sort of set up the system in such a way that, you know, don't go to opposition. You start you know, and it's true. The government tries to finish off the opposition. If you look at the way it's happening, they try to blame us for all of the problems that are happening in the country. But people forget, one man has been the choir master. One man has been controlling the steer and changing the gears for Papua New Guinea. And that's the prime minister. So we've got to take a look at that. To me, I think if you cannot perform in 3 years, we should try someone else because there's enough talent in Papua New Guinea. We can't just think that one man knows all the answers, you know. And prime ministers develop big heads, you know. Once they become powerful, people say, look, why aren't you giving alternative policy suggestions? We do. We do give alternative policy suggestions. But when 90 people are supporting you, you don't want to listen to Sambla Long Man Noga Sawe Blol Sinan Long opposition. You are going to do things the way you want, and that's just human nature. If we can strengthen, like in America, they have the impeachment system. We don't have that here. So you've got to look at a way to keep the prime minister accountable. The VONC mechanism that you saw is actually an accountability mechanism. When you have a threat of a VONC on a prime minister, embassy no, hey, wait, meeting the pastor and making this or something. You think him. When you remove that, suddenly nobody's checking him now. I'm like blame. Now got a boy blame so stop all pick him scrum now, walk him something. So these are the things. Whatever system we look at, we need to strengthen the checks and balances on that system. That's my view.
On the next Flight FM 100 Talkback Show, as I keep saying, I've got to take a break at this juncture, got bills to pay. And we'll be right back. Again, the phone lines, 3233 777, 3233 999.